and it's Amina, and today this is going to be the redo of my top 10 most underrated films video, because I had this video up on YouTube before, but I have no idea what happened to it. I think YouTube might have deleted it. They deleted it and I didn't know, and sometimes they do that to me. Like, before I had a couple videos up before, like one of me singing Once Upon a Dream from Sleeping Beauty, and then me singing My Name is Tula, and then I had them up for a while, then YouTube might have gotten rid of them, and I don't know. Or they might have deleted them. And then I had a video, one time I had a video up of me singing White Houses by Vanessa Carlton, and they got rid of that too. I don't know. It was weird. Weird, because I made this video, like I said before, I made this video before, but I have no idea what happened to it. So this is going to be my top 10 most underrated films, and these are films that I personally find are completely underrated, don't get recognized enough, even though they're really good, and the companies who make these movies, work really hard on them, and I think they really deserve credit, because these movies are super awesome. I give them a thumbs up. Okay, that was a little weird, sorry. So, yeah, if you guys think these are, let me know what your guys' underrated films. If you guys have any, like, underrated films, just please let me know what your top 10 are, because I love hearing other people's different opinions. Like, I love hearing what their opinions of certain movies are, what their opinions on certain things are, like videos on YouTube, or certain foods. I don't know, it's really fun to hear other people's opinions to me. So I'm going to get started, and I do have a movie review up for one of them, and these are movies that either talked about and not recognized enough, and that's pretty much the point of the video. I'm just talking about movies that aren't recognized enough. Anyway, I'm going to get started. So number one on my list is one of my favorites. It is called The Rescuers Down Under, and I bet a lot of you have heard of The Rescuers Down Under if you grew up in the 90s. But I really love this movie. It's one of my favorites, and what's funny, here's like some things that are kind of confusing, and this is probably going to make no sense at all, but I know a lot of people that I know personally love this movie much more than the first one, and that's what the same thing with me is I like the sequel, this one, better than the first one. I think actually a lot of people actually like the sequel better than the first, but I find it to be completely underrated too, because a lot of people always remember it as the first one. Like, every time I go to watch it, my brother or my mom or my dad or my stepdad or somebody would go, didn't you already watch this one? I'm like, no, that's the first one. And it kind of drives me crazy, and I find it really annoying how people overlook this movie, because it's awesome, it's got great adventure, and it's 10 times better than the first one. Even though I do love the first one, don't get me wrong, I love the first Rescuers so much, but I just find this one to be better, and I think a lot of people actually like this one better. And I have 2 reviews up for this movie along with the first one, and if you guys are interested in that, I will link that down below. Sorry, I need to catch my breath because I was kind of talking fast. Number 2 on my list would have to be The Iron Giant. Now, The Iron Giant is a really great film. It's another one of my favorites too, but a lot of people don't even talk about it anymore. It's so weird. When movies first come out, I hear a lot of people talk about them, then years later, they're just completely forgotten. Except for Bambi, even though it is remembered after generations, after a lot of movies been forgotten, but it's still remembered. I don't know, I read that on the back of a video case. I know, that's kind of weird, sorry. Anyway, so I love The Iron Giant. It's one of my favorites because it shows friendship between a boy and a piece of metal, which I find interesting. I love those movies that show, like, a friendship relationship between a human or, like, an animal or something different, like, that's made out of, like, a certain material. It's really cool. I really love that relationship. Number 3 on my list would have to be Cats Don't Dance, and I have mentioned this movie quite a lot, and I'm going to review it sometime next week for my chemo movie review. And I will link this video to the review when I do it. And I actually have mentioned this in the other video I had before, and that I find this film to be completely underrated. Even though I do bring this movie up quite a lot, I find this movie to be completely underrated because every time I bring it up, I hear a lot of people go, oh, I never heard of it. Is it any good? Blah, 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 blah. I'm like, yeah, it's really good. Good, but it's so funny to me that a lot of people seem to overlook this one as well, because every time I bring it up, a lot of people go, I've never heard of it. But it's a fun musical. I really like it because it's fun, musical, and it's got some good jokes in it, and it's one of my favorites. Number 4 on my list would have to be Spirit the Stallion of the Cimarron. Now, this one I come find to be overlooked too, because a lot of people don't talk about it as much. It's so weird. When movies first come out, people talk about them so much. But then later on, they're just completely not talked about as much as they were before. I don't know. It's just the weirdest thing. But I love Spirit. It's got a great story about a horse's life and what he goes through to get back home. It's a great film. And this is one of my cousin's favorites too. Number 5 on my list would have to be Ants. Now, Ants is one of my favorite films as well. I really like this movie so much. It's just, I find this one is not talked about as much. I mean, when I was a kid, I didn't like it at first. I don't know why I didn't like it. But when I got older, as I watched it, I started to really like it. Maybe I don't know why I didn't like it as a kid. Maybe I didn't understand the story. I don't know. It's just weird. But I find this film to be underrated too, because a lot of people don't talk about it as much. And it's just a great film because it's got a good story about like an ant and wanting more in life. And I love those characters who like just want more in life. It's really interesting. Number 6 on my list would have to be The Emperor's New Groove. Now, The Emperor's New Groove is a really funny movie. I love that movie so much. It just cracks me up. But sorry about that. But nobody talks about it anymore. It's so weird. When movies first come out, like I said before, when movies first come out, they're constantly talked about. But then later on, they're just completely ignored. This one's a really funny one. It's just good. It's got animals in it, and I love animals. It's really cute and funny. It makes me laugh. Number 7 on my list would have to be Dinosaur. Now, Dinosaur is one that's not talked about as much either. But when it was first, like I said, when it first came out, constantly talked about. It's a great film. It's got a good story about a dinosaur trying to help others. And I love those characters there's stories that involve main characters that try to help others. Number 8 is Zathura. Now, Zathura is one of my favorites because it's kind of like Jumanji because they have like a game and things happen during the game, except it involves space, and Jumanji involves the wild and safari with like elephants and stuff. I don't know. I find this one to be overlooked too because when it first came out, people were talking about it. But then later on, they just blank about it. But it's so weird when movies first come out, people talk about them, and then later on they're just completely not recognized enough. Number 9 on my list is one of my favorites, is The Page Master. Now, The Page Master I see is overlooked because nobody ever talks about it anymore. Number 10 is An American Tail, Fievel Goes West. And the reason I think this one's overlooked is because people don't talk about it anymore. It's the same thing with all these movies. It's just, when they first come out, they're constantly talked about, but then later on, they're just completely gone, blank. Nobody remembers them. And these are such great films. And Fievel Goes West is a great film, got great music, showing like a different area they're going to. And I love movies, and like I said before, I love movies that take place in one country, then head off to a different country or state. It's really interesting because you get to see what the character learns about in that place they're at. I really like that. Okay, so those are my top 10 most underrated, video of my top 10 most underrated films. I hope you guys liked this video. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in another video soon. Bye!